All right, let's finish up with our winners and losers of the weekend. As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
I've got Brigham Young University undefeated. They are 9-0 currently. They've got Kansas, Arizona State, and Houston left, but they go on the road to Utah and get the dub. Comeback win. They're down the entire game, and they come back at the end with well, I guess they're not down the entire game, but they're down 21-10 at halftime and claw their way back. They go 12 unanswered and get the win. The walk-off field goal. I guess it's not walk-off. There was like 3 or 2 seconds left, but they get the comeback win and a little bit of controversy to go with it, Gabe.
It was the only defensive holding call of the day that was worse than the one that happened in our game. What did you think? It looked like there wasn't much of anything there. Now, Osweiler was on the call, and I played with Brock. Brock is an extremely smart guy, high football IQ. He said it was a good call on the broadcast. Okay, I there really wasn't a great look at it that I saw. It looked for the situation. It looked awfully ticky tacky.
Yeah.
For
Which,
those of you that didn't see it, it was 4th and 10 at the BYU 9 yard line. Their quarterback, Jay Retzloff, gets sacked pretty quickly, I may add. And they called a defensive hold. They gave them an automatic first down, extended the drive. They eventually get it down the field and kick a 44-yard field goal to win the game.
yeah. Yeah. Uh, you hate bailout calls like that. Um, that one's even worse than ours, the down and distance situation. Um, like the one we had, I saw the film of it, saw the replay of it in the stadium once. Um, I think it's a horrible call. It's they call the defensive holding on us as Pine is like he's winding up to throw the ball out of bounds, and in an area he's not even looking or throwing to. You got Woody Washington is like bodied up with Luther Burden. Like it's such a chicken shit call. It is unbelievable. Like I hate bailout calls. If it's legit and like it has something to do with the play, okay. But like if you're away from the play, the guy's throwing it out of bounds. Like he's not making an effort to keep it in bounds, and it didn't happen early in the play to where it affects the outcome. It's just the flag should not be thrown. It's stupid.
Did you did you like what Utah's athletic director did after this game?
Yeah,
You were a fan. This is a quote from Utah AD Mark Harlan, who took the podium after the game to
not normal.
say this game was absolutely stolen from us. We were excited about being in the Big 12, but tonight I am not. We won this game, but someone stole it from us. I I was legitimately stunned that he did that.
I agree.
What is the record for the biggest fine in the history of college football for an administrator?
I don't know, but it's going to be really weird whenever you issue a fine and then at the same time in like the notes of the game, the officiating notes of the game, they send back defensive holding should not have been called. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Um,
I mean, there is some, you see the clip, there's some grabbing there. There's
yeah.
some grabbing. Do I love the call? I do not. Do I understand how the official could see defensive holding? Sure. Do I understand what Mark Harlan is trying to accomplish going scorched earth after the game?
Yes.
I loved it, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what he thinks he's going to accomplish with that strategy.
I don't know, but um, uncomfortable out there in the Salt Lake City area right now. The rivalry game renewed, ends on controversy. BYU undefeated, staring a playoff appearance perhaps in the face. Pretty wild.
Who do you have as your loser
Which
of the weekend?
first, let me say, Kansas at Arizona State and Houston left for BYU. So there
How
you
about the
go.
Jayhawks this weekend?
Yeah, that's where we're going next. Loser, Iowa State knocked off by Kansas. And I mean, Iowa State absolutely cruising. Now, they hadn't had any like huge victories against, top. I mean, they beat Iowa early in the year at Iowa. Iowa was 21 at the time. But back-to-back losses, lost to Tech and then lost at Kansas 45-36. And I mean, now they're going to need help because the standings have them now behind Colorado. They've got two conference losses. They're 4-2 in conference. They still have Cincinnati at Utah and Kansas State. And, no, those are upper half of the Big 12 teams that they have remaining. Utah is not, but I think we all know that Utah is still, even though they're a 1-5 in conference team, they're still a dangerous team, and you're playing them on the road. So Iowa State's got some serious work ahead of them. Back to back losses against teams that I think they're better than. Pretty tough.
Couldn't handle that crowded Arrowhead. I If you're Iowa State, you go on. I guess you call it on the road. You score 36. You got to feel like you're walking out of there with a win. With
I
what
know.
that defense has traditionally been, with how Kansas, for the most part this year has struggled. Like Jalen Daniels has not had a good season.
Right.
But credit to the Jayhawks. I mean, Ted, they moved it up and down the field, passing game,
Yep.
running game.
Ran it for 237.
Daniels wasn't the most efficient in the throw game, but I mean, that was one of his better games of the season. The Jayhawks got after him, moved the football, scored touchdowns. That Lance Leipold guy can coach. I know that their record is what it is, but that was a good reminder that when Kansas is sharp, man, that's Lance Leipold has elevated that program to a different level. That was that was really impressive, especially offensively from the Jayhawks.
Yeah, and they jumped up on them early, and it was really kind of a come from behind effort from Iowa State. But Rocco Beck, I'm watching some of these highlights as we talk through some dimes. I really like him as a quarterback. Um, he threw for 383, had three touchdowns, did have one interception, but dude, he's a stud. But Iowa State all of a sudden find themselves in a very difficult place in the Big 12.
And the Big 12 finds itself in a interesting place when it comes to getting two teams into the college football playoff.
Yeah.
All the all the eggs are in the BYU basket.
Yeah.
Maybe the best scenario. Let me know if you think
BYU
I'm
went
wrong.
out.
If BYU wins out, you definitely get one team in. If they don't,
Well,
I you get one team in no matter what as your conference champion. You you think.
to get two in, I think you have to have BYU win out and lose in the conference championship game.
But if they lose to Colorado, is there let's just say, hey, Alabama doesn't make the SEC championship game. They go 10-2. One loss BYU is not getting in over two loss Alabama.
No.
So to me, it's starting to feel like whoever wins the
Well,
Big
you
12
got to
championship
go.
game is in.
Alabama's going to be like number 5, though.
Ole Miss.
Number 6.
That's what I'm saying. Like you start
You got.
stacking it up, and the Big 12 is not in a good spot.
That's true. Um, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's tough. But I'll say this. I love the way it's shaping up because
Chaos.
it's chaos, and I honestly believe that a lot of these teams are more even than they've ever been, and 9, 10, 11, 12 are probably going to be way more dangerous to 5, 6, 7, 8 than in any of the past years, if that makes sense, you know? Maybe not like in Alabama, but I mean, I don't know. I like the way it's shaping up. It feels like there's not going to be any games that I mean, there's probably going to be games that aren't close, but whenever you look at them, there's probably most of them are going to be okay. Like I could see a path to victory for all these teams.
It's going to be really fun. I just wish,
Wish we were part of it.
just like even close to being in the picture. That's the fun part right now is how many teams feel like they have a chance going into these last few weeks of the season. 15, 20.
Well, I got the rankings right here, and Clemson's numbers. Army's 9-0 at 17. I mean, Texas A&M is at 15. They're still in it. Clemson technically still in it, 7-2. Colorado's number 20 at 7-2. I mean, there's a bunch of teams still in it.
It's fun. I
We
feel
wouldn't
like
even make the NIT of college football right now. Is there an NIT tournament? Are they going to do that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Let's get to my winner and loser, man. That made me sad. Let's get to my winner and loser. But first,
We're brought to you by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. The holiday season is just around the corner, and we're all looking for ways to spend and stress less. HelloFresh makes mealtime nearly hassle-free with delicious, home-delivered, chef-crafted recipes that come together quick and are less expensive than takeout. My wife and I made HelloFresh's pecan-crusted chicken with the honey mustard sauce and lemony apple salad. Easy to make, healthy, it's delicious. It's so easy to follow the instructions. Only took us about 30 minutes, and HelloFresh lets you easily customize your delivery from week to week. You can tailor everything to your schedule by adjusting your delivery day, or you can skip a week when you're not able to cook at home. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free OK breakdown, and you can apply it across 7 boxes. It's new subscribers only, and it varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/free OK breakdown.
and guys, we've got to tell you about Public Rec. They reached out. They were interested in advertising on the podcast. We said, hey, we got to try the clothes first. And the Public Rec pants are awesome, Ted. Fantastic product.
I like it, and I wore the hoodie around all weekend up there in up in Missouri.
Yeah. So they pass with flying colors. So go to publicrec.com and use code OK Breakdown for 20% off. Played golf this week. Wore the pants. The Deal Makers, which great name for some pants. Loved them. Perfect for on the golf course. Also, you can wear them to work. By the way, birdied #1 in the Deal Maker pants.
Okay. Did you
Doubled 2, but we don't need to talk about that.
You had
Birdied 1.
You had already ordered more pants before
I
you
was
teed
like,
off
these
on two?
pants are incredible. I need them in every color. But they're awesome. They look like dress pants, kind of feel like sweatpants, have a nice stretch to them. Stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use code OK Breakdown at checkout. That's 20% off with code OK Breakdown at publicrec.com. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you've found Public Rec. My winner of the weekend, the Colorado Buffaloes. Wasn't easy in Lubbock, but they got it done. End up winning 41-27. Fell in a big hole early. Did not play well early. Down 13-0. Place was rocking, but Colorado found itself offensively coming out of the half, scored touchdowns on their first 3 drives of the second half, and they got playmakers, man. Shedeur Sanders gets these guys the football, and whether it's Wester, Hunter, Shepard, these guys make play. Hey, just throw them a little screen. They take it to the house. They make things pretty easy on Sanders at some points, and he distributes the football at a high level. Another really solid game for him. He's starting to creep into the Heisman Trophy conversation as Colorado continues to win games. And Travis Hunter continues to be that dude. 9 for 99 and a touchdown at wide receiver. And then, of course, does what he does at corner. Good football game and a nice win for Colorado, who is 7-2 and now in solo second in the Big 12 conference standings.
Yeah, and it's wild. Shedeur Sanders, 291 through the air, 3 touchdowns, and added a rushing touchdown. I mean, I don't know how he gets it done. They are he's often running for his life back there, but he finds a little bit more time and is able to keep. He's great at keeping his eyes downfield, man. Always has the eyes downfield, and he is deadly accurate with the football.
I like to think that Texas Tech fans and OU fans went through a similar pain this weekend. Now, Texas Tech, they were down in the situation, but they had a very similar, hey, there's a minute to go, got to put a drive together to go win the game or maybe tie the game, and Baron Morton strip, scoop and score. Shiloh Sanders hit a perfect Deion shuffle as his celebration. Perfect. It's like he's his son or something.
Yeah,
but
not
yes,
surprised.
just a brutal way for that game to end. And Tech moves to 0-1 in the Mahomes gray silver jersey things that they went with for that game.
Yeah, that is an interesting look. I guess I don't mind it for them. It's not necessarily bad for them, but I know it's brutally hard for the people calling the game to know who's running around out there. Can't see the numbers at all. They even have gray numbers.
Taj Brooks, hated for him, became the all-time leading rusher in Texas Tech history in this game. Something you want to celebrate, but you lost the game. Unfortunate. Also, does it make me... I don't think this is controversial, but maybe it is. If a guy breaks the school record when he had an extra year, I don't think he should have the school record. Because of a COVID year, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I I don't think that should count, personally. Am I
Well,
wrong? Taj Brooks is a hell of a player, but he had an extra year to break the record.
so how do you calculate his total yards?
I don't know, but I don't know who the leading rusher in the history of Texas Tech football was, but if the guy that broke my record had an extra full season, I would kind of be pissed off.
Well, it's like I think that's how it was with Jocelyn and Allo at OU.
I said the same thing when that happened. Lauren Chamberlain, in my opinion, is still the home run leader in OU history.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. I do. I mean, I'm looking at it right here. He's played 5 years. and the first 3 years pretty unremarkable. Um, I mean, he wasn't. It's not that he was bad, but the last two, he went for 1,500 yards last year, and he's at 1184 this year. So, I mean, I, he gets an extra 1,100 yards in there. So it does make it hard to really say, well, is that necessarily true? Fair?
I think the best example, Devin Neal, we talked about the Kansas game.
Yeah.
Pretty sure he became Kansas's all-time leading rusher in that game. It's his fourth year. He's played 4 seasons.
Yeah.
He is Kansas's all-time leading rusher. There's no debate. No issue. But these records that are falling because guys got this extra year, there's
Well,
got put an asterisk there or something. That like you have to note that they got a full extra season. And I know that 2020 year was weird, but I don't know.
well, Dylan Gabriel just broke, or I don't, did he break the record or I think 179 touchdowns for him or something like that? Is that what it is? Um, and he's played, this is his 6th year of basically starting every year. Now, 21, he got hurt. Um, Still threw for 9 touchdowns that year, but he's 6 years. Is that really, can you get the record?
No, not in my book.
Right.
I don't think that's how it should work. We spent too long on that. Sorry. Loser of the weekend. Miami. They've done
Yeah.
it a lot this year. Come back from big deficits in the fourth quarter. Kind of felt like they were going to do it again. 28-23 with just under 2 minutes. Ball in Cam Ward's hands. Got to put together a drive and get stripped. Can't hold on to the ball that long, Cam Ward. What are you doing?
Right.
And that's kind of, I feel like we've said that quite a few times this year. Get stripped. Georgia Tech recovers. Game over. First loss of the season for Miami. The Yellow Jackets get a big one. Brent Key, that guy, all he does is knock off ranked teams. That's what he does.
You do not want to be a top 5 team based out of the state of Florida and go play Georgia Tech. You do not want to be in that position this season.
No. And you look at Cam Ward's stat line, Ted, he was good. Had some fantastic throws in this game, but ultimately you are judged by how you perform when the game's on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And he held on to that thing too long.
Yep. Miami to me is one of those teams. Like, I'm not saying they're a fraud, but they were the team to me that was ranked like really high. What were they, number 4? That I'm like, are they really the 4th best team in the country? I mean, I don't know. What's their biggest win of the year? Virginia Tech?
That their schedule,
Louisville?
and
I
that
guess it's Louisville.
everyone has acknowledged how easy of a path they have. We'll see how it goes the rest of the way.
It's crazy that they were 9-0. They just dropped that game, and they are now in 3rd place in the ACC. SMU, Clemson ahead of them.
Georgia Tech won the game with 99 yards passing. How do you win a game with 99 yards passing? You rush for 271.
Woo.
That's how. Almost 10 minutes of time of possession advantage for Georgia Tech in this one. And I thought the way that they rotated their quarterbacks was really interesting. Haynes King has the bad shoulder, didn't ask him to do much in the throw game. Hey, do what you do well. Go run it. Aaron Philo comes in, handles some of the obvious passing situations. Thought that was really good coaching from Brent Key. And to Philo's credit, didn't make any critical errors. And then Georgia Tech's wide receiver has a chance to score a touchdown late in the game. And instead of going into the end zone, which would give Miami the ball back, maybe they go score, then they do an onside kick. You never know what happens. What does he do, Ted? What do good coach teams do?
He takes the knee, slides, stays in bounds.
And then they take a knee. End it on the field.
There you go.
Tough.
Eight guys had carried the football for Georgia Tech, spreading the rock around.
Love it. Tough day for the ACC office. Will do whatever it takes to make Miami undefeated group.
Uh, man,
ACC and Big 12 got to really be getting worried that they're going to be one bid leagues.
I know. And you're just going to fill it up with Big Ten and SEC teams, which, the way I honestly look at it right now is probably it's getting harder and harder to make the case for other teams in those conferences at the moment.
When it comes to the big picture of college football, maybe the best thing for the sport is for the ACC and the Big 12 to only get one team this year. Because we're all aware of some of the discussion that's taken place surrounding the Big 10 and the SEC and them being satisfied with how many teams they get in. Well, from the first year, you get 5 SEC teams in and 4 Big 10 teams in. I think they'll be pretty satisfied. And maybe for the overall sport, that's the best thing that could happen, to where there's not another massive shift in the sport. I don't know. It's just something to think about, because those two conferences being pleased with how this bracket looks this year, I think that's important for what the future of this thing looks like.
Yeah. Well, I think the last thing you want to do is you don't want to stretch to put, like, say, 2 in from the Big 12, and like, whoever that second team is, the non-conference champion, same thing, the ACC. You don't want to stretch to put that team in and they get absolutely destroyed, because you don't want to ruin the chance of doing it again. You know what I'm saying? Like, you better be right whenever you put a team that their record looks good, but who they play doesn't match up with a 2 or maybe even a 3-loss SEC school. Like, if you make that move and you hold a really good team out and you put that team in and they get housed by someone that maybe that 3-loss team even beat, like, you're messing with the whole situation. And that's whenever conferences rather, start to say, couldn't we just do this on our own?
And if you
That's not
look
what
at
you
it,
want.
yeah, and if you look at it and go, well, does the SEC, should they really get 5 teams in? You know who's in 5th place in the SEC right now?
I don't know. Probably Georgia. I don't know.
Alabama.
Alabama.
They
There you
looked
go.
like the best team in the country this weekend. So it's just, it is what it is. Like, are you going to put Alabama in, or are you going to put Colorado or Iowa State or Kansas State? You're going to put Alabama in. Let's be real.
Actually, Alabama's in 6th.
Who's in 5th?
Ole Miss,
Ole Miss.
Tennessee, A&M, Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama. At least that's how it's listed in order on the
No, you're
standings.
right. So, excuse me. The 2 teams that looked like the best teams in the country this week
Or
are in
5 and
5th and
6.
6th in the SEC.
That's right.
Do I want to see those guys or do I want to see Colorado? Actually, I kind of want to see Colorado in the mix. But do I want to see those guys or do I want to see Iowa State? Come on. What are we
Right.
even talking about? And
Right.
maybe for this first year of this, when it comes to preventing another massive sweeping change in college football, maybe that's the best thing that could happen.
Yep.
Just wish OU was even in the picture.
I know it. I
Like we're
know.
not even in the bubble talk.
Not even in the bubble talk.
Thank God Florida State's been such a disaster, or else, you
Who
know,
else are we rooting against? Who else could draw some negative attention their way?
Florida
USC.
State,
USC. Thank
USC, and
you,
Florida State. Be distracted by them, people. Don't look at Oklahoma. We'll be fine.